thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I think first time we are here, right? Mm-hmm. So we chant Krishna's names for a few minutes, and then we can take a nice shloka from Bhagavatam. And this is a very auspicious month for Purushottam Mass, so it's a good time to get together. Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna. And we would request all of you, please sing, chant with us, and please remember Krishna. Do you have any kirtans? Yeah. जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki Jai. I hope your neighbors are alright, Prabhu. It's it's in the afternoon, and sometimes this is the time people want to take rest. I hope on our account you should not be put into difficulty. So we've had a few cases, right, Rebecca, where we've had some really ecstatic kirtan and the neighbor comes in, all flustered. But my suggestion is whenever you want to have such programs, you first give them some prasadam. And then, they become very happy. And then when they hear, for them it's noise, but for us, it is chanting. So it's very different. This chanting of the holy name is not a material vibration. You can sense it. Everyone can feel. If we were singing some material song, the atmosphere would be very different. It will be a social atmosphere. But this is a spiritual atmosphere. So the mood is, in Bhagavatam, this mood is known as dhira. Dhira means sober, right? We are not so serious to the point where we are very sad. But we are very sober about chanting because we take it seriously. It is not an entertainment, right? This is a very important thing. When we gather for these programs are not meant to be materially entertaining. And yet, the power of these programs is that they are spiritually enlivening. You'll find that your senses, your material senses, your ears especially, right? They are hearing spiritual vibrations. And because they are spiritual, whether we are leading the singing or we are hearing and chanting, it doesn't matter in which service we are doing this, but the entire activity is so transcendental that we become very peaceful, very happy. And the mind should become much more stable and less anxious. This is a very important thing. Otherwise, what happens in this material world is that there's so much of what we call in Sanskrit sanklesha. Sanklesha means material and miserable conditions. And these miserable conditions in this material world, they are real. Very often they come in the form of misery. And Bhagavad Gita tells us that there are 3 kinds of miseries. Miseries that affect us based on miseries caused by other people. That's one kind of misery. You may be doing your own job and going on with your own life. And then suddenly someone comes into your life and it becomes a nightmare. It's happened to people, and many of you are shaking your heads, so you know the feeling, isn't it? You could be driving on the road on the right lane very nicely and suddenly someone cuts through and before you know it, there is some accident. And you'll be asking yourself, I didn't do anything wrong. So many times in relationships also, we try our best to be good, but someone else can make that very difficult for us. So miseries caused by others are real. And it doesn't need to be, something that just happens. It can happen anytime in our life. The second misery Bhagavad Gita tells us is miseries that are caused by forces of nature. We call it adhyatmika. It's miseries that are beyond our control. And look at what is happening with the world. Every day there's some disasters. Everything is becoming worse. A normal storm has become a cyclone, right? Heat wave has become really bad. In some parts of the world where it should be cold, it's very hot. Where it should be hot, it's actually very cold. So these forces of nature are beyond us. We can't do anything. If you have been caught in an earthquake, for example, or any natural disaster, you'll find that actually you're helpless. You can't do anything. So that is the second misery. The third misery is misery that is caused by ourselves to ourselves. We are very often the sources of our own miseries because we have not understood the goal of life. And we keep getting into material problems, not understanding that the goal of life is not to accumulate material assets. Material assets will come and go, but our goal of life is to accumulate spiritual assets. Spiritual asset means bhakti. Only when we accumulate bhakti in our life and we apply it in our life, then this third misery will not touch us. In fact, the first misery will also not disturb us. Because if we have firm faith in Krishna and we have a life where Krishna is in the center of everything we do, then even if people or difficulties come, Krishna gives us the strength to face these difficulties. And what is the best way to face the difficulties? To be absorbed in chanting the names of the Lord. Just 10-15 minutes we chanted. How peaceful our mind is. That's why it is known as mantra. Man means mind and tra means resting place. A place where the mind can rest. It is only found in chanting this Mahamantra, especially in Kali Yuga. If you read all the Shastras carefully, they will tell you that the names of God are so powerful that if you chant them anywhere, any place, in any condition, doesn't matter of whatever caste, creed, language, it will work. Because it is spiritual in nature, not material, right? There are so many people in the world who are chanting this Mahamantra who are not even of Indian origin. If you are familiar with ISKCON and you know how widespread ISKCON is in the Russian countries, in the European countries, in the American countries, you have Vaishnavas who are not born into Vaishnava tradition the way we are born into it. But they have taken it as their life and soul. But very often we have forgotten it. They are wearing dhoti and kurta. And we have forgotten how to wear dhoti. That's the amazing thing. So it shows you one thing. Spiritual life is not based on religion. Don't mix it up. Sometimes we are so caught up with the idea that we are Hindu. But Bhagavad Gita is not meant for Hindus. Neither is Bhagavatam meant for Hindus. Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are meant for everyone. It is a universal scripture. And these are rubber stamps that we take and we identify with. But the real identification should be spiritual. What are we doing to give nourishment to our soul? We are nourishing our body with food, but what are we doing to nourish our soul? That is the question. So these three material miseries, as long as we take this sharir, we are bound to be exposed to them. The only question is, how do we get past this? That's why Bhagavatam says very nicely, Asesha Sanklesha Shamam Vidate Gunanuvada Shravanam Murare Kimva Punastat Charanaravinda Paraga Seva Rati Atmalabdha. This is a beautiful shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam says very unequivocally that simply by hearing and simply by chanting the names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? His name, simply by hearing, simply by chanting, simply by seeing his form. We have a beautiful form today of Laddu Gopal. He's very small, but he's very exquisite, isn't he? So just by hearing his name, by seeing his form, right? And knowing his name as Sri Krishna, what happens to us? We can achieve cessation of material, unlimited material conditions. Unlimited. Asesha Sanklesha. So all kinds of miserable conditions, which are normally unlimited in this world, can be stopped if we simply keep hearing. And therefore, this Bhagavatam verse tells us, therefore, what to speak of those who have gained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's holy feet. So to get attraction for something, you must be attentive to it. Have you thought about that? How to develop attraction for something? If you want to be attracted to someone, You realize that you have become attracted to someone because you've become attentive to the person. If you're attentive to what the person is doing, how he or she is talking, what they like, what they don't like, eventually attention will turn into attraction. Even in material world, that is true. If you never liked a subject, it's very often because you never paid attention to it. That's very often the case. Mataji, your teacher, you know. It's the case.
Looking at kids, but
My mother is a teacher also. She used to tell me the reason why I don't like math is because I never paid attention to it. And it's true. When I look back, I realize, yeah, I just shut off. Because my initial dislike meant I never paid attention. But we have to go beyond that. Not everyone likes to do spiritual things. But we must have the common sense as adults to know this actually benefits us more than material things. So we have to be able to push. Therefore, attention requires effort, right? But attraction, after effort and attention, will come naturally. It will come naturally. That is why we must be attentive to how we want to structure our lives in spirit. Then Krishna will see that we are trying very hard. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prabhadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. To the extent that you walk up to Krishna, you surrender to Krishna, to that extent Krishna will always reciprocate with you. It's a relationship. That's how even material world relationships are. If someone invites you now to the house, right? After a while, when you remember you have a function, you'll invite them. It's reciprocation. You feed others, others will feed you, right? But if you don't give anything to anyone, you can't expect the sky to fall on you and give you everything. So sometimes we are not fair to Krishna. We think God is in our heart, He's there, why do I have to pray? That's the silliest argument you can make. Imagine telling your mother, why do I have to care for you? It is in my heart, I care for you, I don't have to show you anything. Really? Do you think your mother will accept that? They won't. You have to show that you care. You have to display some action that you're doing something. Even if you're an employee and you say, I'm very good at my work, you have to show that you're good at your work. But when it comes to spiritual life, we're very relaxed. Never mind. After I retire, I get my CPF, and then I will think about Krishna. Till then, let me just concentrate on my work. That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. And people quote Bhagavad Gita to say, no, work is dharma. Work is dharma. But work that doesn't have Krishna in the center is loko yam karma bandhanaha. It binds you to the material world. That part of the Bhagavad Gita they will conveniently forget. But the part that says work is worship, they will remember. But work without Krishna will only bind you to this world. But work for Krishna will free you from this world. The Sankleshas will not touch us when we act in that way. That's why Arjuna became Nimitta Matra Bhavya Savya Sachi. Krishna told him, Mayai Vaite Nihata Purva Evam Nimitta Matra Bhavya Savya Sachi. By my arrangement, everyone on the battlefield who should live will live, and those who must perish will perish. It is my arrangement. So then what is the value of Arjuna on the field? You become Nimitta Matra. You become instrument in my hands. That's all. So if we receive our family members, if we receive this house, if we receive our salaries, in the mood that what is coming is to be used as an instrument for Krishna, then we are not implicated in what we have. Otherwise, life after life after life, we keep coming back. Sometimes people say if you do punya, you become free. But that's not true. If you do punya in your next life, you will get heavenly planets, Swargaloka. But the only difference is in Swargaloka, you will live for many, 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 many years, but eventually you come back here again. So what is the value of that? We want to be free of this samsara chakra, this entire cycle. And the way to be free is to actually chant Krishna's names. That's why this verse, Asesha Sanklesha Gunanuvada, simply by hearing and chanting. The word simply means is very simple. What we did for 15 minutes, nothing. It was just simple chanting. Anyone, even children can chant. I notice the children here are extremely quiet and well behaved. It's amazing. Normally when I go to houses, children bring the house down. But is it three of you? 1, 2, 3? Is there a 4? I can't see the 4. The 4 is there, yes, I can see you. You're all extremely quiet. Is it because they're very attentive or they're scared of me? No, right? I think they enjoyed the Kirtan also. But they're very good. Very good. I'll tell you one story which is very important here. Children, you will like this story. See, one time there was this man, and he had heard that in a forest, dark, deep forest, in the center of the forest was a huge tree. And at the top of the tree was a huge beehive. You all know what bees are, right? They can sting. But the bees make honey. And the man wanted to get that honey. Everybody in the village told him very dangerous because the forest is dark, it has ghosts, it has goblins, it has wild animals. So nobody who has entered the forest has come out of the forest. Okay? Nobody has. But this man was so determined to taste honey because honey is sweet, isn't it? It's very sweet. If you start tasting honey, you'll find you get addicted to it. It's really sweet. So he thought, never mind, let me go now. So he went all the way. He jumped over a wall and he got into the dark forest. The moment he entered the forest, there were these wild-looking ghosts, they started chasing him. So he ran away from them. Now, as he ran away from them, he saw these wild animals and they were chasing him. So he could not run right, he could not run left, so he ran to the center. And as he kept running and running, he was so afraid of them that suddenly he did not see. There was a huge tree in front of him. And you know these huge banyan trees, the roots are actually at the top, they're out of the ground. And so his foot got stuck in the roots. And he was going to trip over. As he tripped over, he found that there was a deep, dark hole just next to the tree. And he almost fell into the hole. And at that point of time, because his foot was stuck, he found himself saved. But he was dangling. You know how it is? He's dangling in the hole. On the right side, when he looks up, all the ghosts are just waiting for him to come out. On the left side, when he looks, all the wild animals are waiting to eat him because they're hungry. Now, as he looked down, he thought maybe he should fall into the pit. But when he looked carefully in the pit, he saw two bright eyes looking at him. And he realized there was a huge serpent waiting at the bottom of the pit. If he fell into the pit, the serpent would get him. If he got out, the ghosts and the animals, they will compete, but they will get him. And then he realized that maybe this is the safest point for me, that I'm just dangling like that. However, he started hearing these noise of rats. Have you heard rats gnawing into something? When he looked up at the roots, he realized that there were black and white rats. And they were biting very quickly into the roots. And I hope you have not been bitten by a rat. But if you have, they have very, very sharp teeth. They can just cut through things very quickly, right? And so he thought, now my time is running. Because when it cuts off, either I jump out now and be killed, or it cuts off and I jump in and I die. So both ways, the man should be petrified. He should be terrified. His face should be very scared. But the story tells us that the man's face was very happy. He was smiling. Why in the world was he smiling? Because while he was dangling upside down, he realized that if he just stuck out his tongue, because he had hit the tree, right? The bees were moving, and the honey was dropping from the hive. And if he just stuck out his tongue exactly in the position that he was in, upside down, he could actually have a taste of the honey. And that drop of honey made him very happy. He completely forgot his surroundings, right? But he thought, I'm all right. I have some honey, right? I'm all right. So Mahabharata actually, right, tells us this story. It's a beautiful story told within Mahabharata. Right? And the symbolism of the story is very important. The symbolism of the story is that this man represents the living entity. This forest represents this material world. It is a deep and dark forest, and yet we are always trying to find some honey. This honey represents material happiness. We all know it is sweet for a while, but we also know it is gotten through so much of difficulty, anxiety, and danger. The bees, they are building honey, and they are very powerful creatures. But at the end of the day, Even though the bees work very hard to keep the honey, man comes and just takes honey like that, isn't it? And all the hard work of the bee goes, and guess what? Tomorrow morning the bees will start making honey again. And that is our life. We have so much of Sanklesh, but every day we think tomorrow the Sanklesh will go. Tomorrow things will be better. 10 years later things will be better. But nothing has changed. You know what was Einstein's definition for insanity, right? Einstein's definition of insanity is that you do the same thing over and over again, but you expect different results. That is insanity. And that's perfectly in line with Shastras. Because the bees keep doing honey, thinking that every day they will keep the honey, but someone else takes the honey. The man who is upside down, the living entity, the ghosts and goblins represent difficulties. They represent fear, that we're always fearful of. Fear is always chasing us. Have you noticed how wherever you go, whichever house you move, whether you're in Singapore or India, only the grade of fear is changing. Maybe quality of fear is changing. But if fear is not there, the cousin of fear, anxiety, is definitely there. You're all anxious. You know, some of you may be anxious, when is he going to stop now? Some of you may be anxious, are we going to have prasadam? This is not lunchtime, this is not dinner time. What are we going to do now? We're not sure. So much anxiety is there, you see. We all keep thinking. There's so many things we think about. There's no end. Without children, we are anxious. Will we get children? Once the children come, then another anxiety. Will they be alright? Once they pass primary school, will they be okay in secondary school? Then will they be alright in the JCs? Then will they find proper spouses? What kind of in-laws am I going to get? All kinds. Every day something is there. Something is always there. And that man is in anxiety, hanging upside down. The wild animals are there. The ghosts and goblins are there. The serpent represents the power of time. Time is like a serpent. Time is running. Time is waiting for you. At the bottom of every pit of your life, at every junction, time is waiting for you. But the thing is, we don't use time for Krishna. And therefore time is running always ahead of us. No one actually can say that time is behind them. Time is always running ahead and we're always trying to catch up. We always think there is time. There is time. Now I've spoken so much, never mind. Tomorrow I won't do this. One day I will do this. Because time will come. That's how it is. And that bottomless pit, right, is the pit of our material life. We can't see what is at the bottom, and yet we think we're alright. The rats which are biting on this side and that side, black is night and white rats are day. And so day and night is passing, and our time is slipping. But for a drop of honey, we think it's alright. It's alright. I can live for another day. This is Sanklesha. This is the meaning of Sanklesha. So children, I hope this was a good story, yeah? It's a very good story, right? And it's coming from our Shastras, you see. So our Shastras tell us very practically speaking, that if you want to come out of the material miseries, you please understand that one, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Dukkhalayam means this world is a place of misery. Accept it. Those who accept something, they will not be disappointed in expecting things. You can either live life in expectation or you can live life in acceptance. When you accept that this is my situation, now I should concentrate on the goal of life, immediately you become santushtaha. But if you're always hankering, this is not the situation I want to be in, I want to be in another situation. Another situation will come, and then you think I have to be in another situation. There's just no end to it. There's no end to it. That's why spiritual life brings us satisfaction wherever we are. We could be under a tree and speaking Bhagavatam, and we'll be fine. We could be in the house and speaking Bhagavatam, we'll be fine. There's nothing wrong. We could speak Bhagavatam every day. We are chanting, we are doing these programs, if you ask Prabhu and Mataji, every week. Every week. All these young boys, they're coming every week. Young girls, they're all coming every week. But every week is not a boring week, because you're chanting Krishna's names, right? It's so powerful, so sweet. If your children come to the center where we have programs, there are children's programs for them. It happens every Saturday. Adults sit upstairs to hear Bhagavad Gita. Children are taken care of by the Matajis, by the teachers, and they are taught Krishna's pastimes. They are taught about Krishna through games, through chanting, And they join the Kirtan, they enjoy it. Because our natural constitutional position is spiritual, not material. You can take a goldfish out of a nice tank, and you put it outside. You give it a nice condo and give it aircon and give it best food, everything. But the fish is never peaceful. But just put it back into its water and there it is peaceful. Our nature is spiritual. If you defy what is natural to you, then this hankering and samklesha will always come. But if you learn to embrace who you are, your spirit more than your body, then you will become really peaceful. So please remember, right, as we end today's program, remember that there is no hard fast rule for chanting. You can chant anywhere, Prabhus, Matajis. You can chant in any condition of life. You don't have to be, you don't have to chant some mantras to purify yourself to then start chanting. You don't have to. This Maha Mantra is like, like soap. When you are going to, when you're going to bathe, you don't give soap the bath first and then you use the soap, isn't it? Soap is soap. So Maha Mantra is what we call naturally a cleansing agent because it is Krishna. There's no difference between Krishna's names and his form. There is a difference between your name, my name, and my form, your form, right? If I was in US and you're in Singapore and you call my name, I won't appear in front of you. But if you are here and you call Krishna's names, Krishna appears in your heart and he appears on your tongue. You can. That's why we say you can chant Coca-Cola for 15 minutes now. Your thirst will not be quenched, Coca-Cola won't drop from the sky, nothing will happen. But if you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna is on your tongue and you can sense it, you can feel it, right? So please remember this point. Are there any questions?
No.
Children, any questions?
No.
No? Everything is clear? Very good, very good. He's the first one to answer. So you just chant Krishna's names. Can you chant Krishna's names? Is it difficult? What is your name?
Yes.
Very good. So you chant Krishna's names. When you're in difficulty, you chant. When you're going to sit for your exams, which will happen at some point, you chant. Right? When your parents tell you to do something, you don't want to do it, you chant first. And then you do it. Right? That's how you must do it. And for the adults, if you don't chant, they won't chant. You sit and watch TV and tell them, hey, chant. They will say, you're watching TV, why should I chant? Children are very sharp. They see these things. If you change your life to put Krishna in the center, they will eventually become devotees. And at a difficult time in their life, which will happen to everyone, when you cannot be there to protect them, Krishna will be there to protect them. That is the best gift you can give your children, not anything else. Money will come and go. Education we all have, but education has never stopped our anxiety. Never. It may have given us some logic to it, but ultimately the process continues. The cycle continues. So this is what we want. Shall we chant?
Yes.
Everyone can chant?
Yes.
So now we should chant more loudly. Your neighbor is alright, Prabhu? Anyone here taking singing lessons, children? Anyone doing music? But everyone can sing, right? Good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Bol Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय, जय श्री शिला गोपाल जी की जय, जय श्री पुरुषोत्तम मास की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Advaita Prabhu, for introducing all of us together. And Matri. Thank you. So I hope you will take this back with you and think about it. These programs are meant to make us think so that we can start feeling about it. If you don't think about something long enough, you won't feel for it. But if you think long enough, you will feel. And once you feel enough for it, you will will yourself to do something. Thinking, feeling, and willing. This is how. Everything begins with a thought. All we are doing is planting seeds into your hearts. This is not a new seed. It's there. You're all innately spiritually conscious. We just have to revive that in each other. We have to help each other to revive this in our hearts. That's all. Thank you very much.